Back at the dining hall, plates of wraithwing egg omelet were lined up on a table, wafting forth irresistible aroma.
Is that really for us?
At my nod, Al dug in.
Ow! Oh, burnt my tongue. But, so good.
I love it!
Muffled voices caught my attention, and I looked out the window to see a gathering crowd. Though I had only collected a basket of the famed eggs, it seemed that was enough to feed the whole city.
Hey, Al. Heard from your sister. Sorry, I should have noticed you were working yourself to the bone.
A man who seemed to be in charge of reconstruction efforts came to our table. Gently, he explained that he had only now been made aware of Al's failing health. He vowed to encourage the workers to rest, so no one would overexert themselves ever again.
Al, you okay, bud? You don't look so good.
Vern, who had been flitting carefree through the air, came to a sudden stop. I smiled at his concern, which was well-meaning but misplaced. Al was going to be fine now. It was time for a celebration, and I had the perfect surprise planned. Their reactions are going to be priceless. A light dessert is the perfect way to top off a hearty meal. Stealing my way into the kitchen, I cooked up an original dish using spare ingredients and imagination. When I unveiled my creation, the crew gulped in what I assume was anticipation. The people of Folka, however, were more vocal with their excitement.
You're saying that the very hand that defeated the Wraithwing made this dessert?
Is there anything she can't do?
It was enough to make me blush. But, if I may be so bold, I don't think their praise was unearned. My dish was wholly unique in its shape, color, and smell.
Catalina, this is amazing! I've never tasted anything like it before.
Encouraged by Lyria, every last diner snatched up their spoons. Hungrily, they lifted a bite to their lips. And the moment right after, as if someone had captured the scene in a painting, they all froze. There are times when people are so filled to the brim with emotion, not even the smallest physical movement is possible. For the diners, this was apparently one of those times. It seems I'm not such a bad chef after all. Take that, naysayers.
What you doing, Siegfried?
Vern appeared at my shoulder one day as I was walking through Seed Hollow. I'm gathering intelligence. The dragon wrinkled his snout.
Man, you're a workaholic.
He wasn't incorrect. I did want to lay aside responsibility and stroll unburdened in the sun, but I couldn't rest easily when duty called.
Hey, what if I help? 2 weeks are better than none.
Vern was indeed light and fast, but I found it easier to scout alone.
Come on. I know how to handle myself.
You certainly do. If anything, I felt that the captain, Lyria, and Vern were strong beyond their years. that they had been forced to grow up too fast. All right, Vern, be my guest.
Finally, something to do. Agent Vern is on the job.
Vern twirls deftly in the air.
So, what exactly is the job? What kind of intelligence you looking for?
It's a little abstract. I would like to learn about the values of this country. Why it was founded, for example, or what would cause its people to go to war. For nations with similar values are often quick allies, but nations with conflicting values find themselves enemies.
Yeah, I'm totally following.
Take Fiendrock, for example. Our king and people stand for fellowship and peace. If we were to find out that the leaders of Seed Hollow, on the other hand, favored conquest and power, then we might expect trouble.
What, kind of trouble are we talking here?
Don't worry. I gave Vern what I hoped was a reassuring smile. I am not here to conduct a coup. I only seek information to bring back to Fiendrock, which may help in matters of diplomacy.
Diplomacy? Well, that's way above my pay grade. Aw, dude, I think something just happened over by the gate. I see a bunch of soldiers running that way.
With two flaps of his wings, Vern lifted himself higher into the air and hovered, squinting against the glare of the sun. Seed Hollow's military force. This may be worth looking into. Come.
Right behind you.
A group of onlookers had gathered by the gate, speaking in loud, excited voices.
A monster hunt, huh?
Let us follow them. We may learn something useful. Nothing is so revealing of a person's nature as their deeds in battle. We passed out of the stone city and trudged for a while among grass and dirt paths. Or rather, I did, while Vern rode the winds beside me. Suddenly, he let himself rise on an updraft.
Spotted them! They're going at it!
As he spoke, I became aware of distant cries and the clash of arms. Let's see here. I crept beneath the shadow of dappling leaves and up a small knoll for a better look.
I don't think they can win this thing!
The warriors of Seed Hollow were many, their faces grim with determination. And yet...
Captain, we can't hold out much longer! Stand your ground. If these monsters get past us, it's the lives of your friends and family.
They were scattered, weak, and on the brink of disaster. Vern, I'm going to their aid. With that, I grasped the hilt of my sword and burst from the cover of the trees.
We gotta hold on!
They're moments away from annihilation. We must leap guns. Come and face me!
Hell are you? Get out of here! Meet your dude, civilian!
With all due respect, you are not in a position to reject my aid. Focus on keeping yourself safe.
Bear with. All right, fine. Let a sword of yours better not just be for show.
How is he mowing down all these half-seeds?
Captain, this dancing circles around the half-beasts. Yeah, I can see that. Stop gawking and tend to the wounded.
We're gonna make it.
Heads up! Got monsters coming in from above!
This is power! Be gone!
Don't mistake mercy for weakness.
Push through! So ready! Ready!
The next wave is coming. Quickly, get to safety.
Bad news.
goblin soldier marching this way!
There's no way he can handle that alone. Who's still got juice in them? Let's get to the fray!
No, stay put. We'll not be able to win with you as a burden.
This is power! Bear with me! Push through! Enough! Your end is nigh! Be gone!
Wait! You're just gonna hang him out to dry? You cleared him out!
You are all safe now.
I can't believe my eyes. Is that guy really human?
We could have handled them alone. You know we could have. Think of how hard we've trained.
The cry of the last monster faded to nothingness, and I sheathed my sword.
Oh, man! They're lucky we got here in the nick of time!
Danger averted, Vern drifted to my side.
Well met, Skyfarers.
The soldiers from Seed Hollow gathered themselves and limped to form ranks. At their head, a man I believed was their captain stood, frowning at us.
You guys must be dying to thank us. I take payment in apples, by the way.
Vern wasn't quite reading the mood.
So you know your way around a sword. Great. We appreciate the help and all, but could you not interfere with official military business?
What?
We're professional soldiers. We can handle monsters without you swinging in to save the day.
Number one, that's a lie. Number two, what's with the attitude?
That's enough, Vern. The dragon looked ready to spout fire. Hoping to calm him, I caught him and held him in my arms. I'm sorry. We mean no disrespect. With a bow, I turned and left that shadowy glade. I did not relax my grip on Vern because I felt certain that if I let go, he would flip back and spit venom in the soldiers' faces.
Hello.
What was wrong with them? They would have been toast without you.
Vern flew beside me, seething. We are strangers to this land. Those soldiers have a reputation to uphold.
Yeah, but doesn't it get you riled up when people are so rude?
I laughed. If rudeness were the worst foe we ever faced, we'd be lucky warriors indeed. In truth, I empathize with them. It is the duty of a soldier to fight. Incompetence on the battlefield is a matter of great shame. My unwanted assistance was salt in the wound.
I guess I could see that, but still.
Listen, no one was badly hurt. That is all that matters. I had trained many knights in my day. They had gone through their growing pains, and tasting defeat and humiliation. Yes, failure is bitter, but it is nourishment. And thus the knights learned and grew, each and every one of them, into powerful warriors. When it came to the finer points of warfare, the forces of Seed Hollow were clumsy at best. But their sense of duty was unparalleled. Upon hearing rumors of danger, they had acted swiftly, marching without fear to the monster's den. and though they had been forced to the very cusp of annihilation, not a soldier had wavered or fled. Now, they too had drunk deeply of the medicine of defeat. I believe it would course through them like fire and bring them newfound strength. The forces of Seed Hollow were capable of much, much more. I entered the warm wooden interior of my cabin on the Grand Cipher, carrying an armful of books. I laid them on the desk, drew out a chair, and took a short trip through Seed Hollow's history. Unbroken peace. For 500 years after the ending of the war, violence had not troubled the skies of Zeka Grande. There were your usual skirmishes, of course, power-hungry rebels, etc., but nothing so big it had not been quickly sorted out and buried in the sands of time. However, 15 years ago, tragedy on Dolly Island acted as a catalyst to the rise of Avia. Hitherto peaceful primals went on rampage, and hordes of monsters were drawn to the carnage. So that's why I thought back to the disordered ranks of the forces of Seed Hollow. Peace had dulled their senses. They had forgotten how to handle swords and spears, forgotten how to manage monsters, each one vastly different in shape and movement. They need guidance. The people of Seed Hollow seem to be gardeners, fond of orchards and good rich earth. They had no love of war, nor possessed the means for a great campaign. Unless a revolution were to completely reshape this country, I did not believe it would ever pose a threat to Fiendrock. Its forces existed not to invade, but solely to defend. But now, they had not even the power to do that. Seed Hollow soldiers were steadfast and honorable. I had seen that, but they no longer knew how to protect their land. I had come to admire the delicate flowers and many bowed trees that flourished in this clime, and did not wish to see them trampled under a monster's claw or an invader's boot. I could offer Seed Hollow's forces counsel, but I would have to tread carefully. After all, I was a foreigner, and a former captain of knights. One misstep, and I could forever sour the relations between Seed Hollow and Fiendrock. I will have to be discreet. I threw on my traveling cloak and arranged my pouch. Hearing no footfalls outside my room, I slipped through the door and padded softly down the corridor.
Oh, hey, Siegfried! You heading out?
Vern spotted me on the deck of the Grand Cipher. So much for stealing off unnoticed. I'm going for a walk.
On your tiptoes? No way, man! I bet you're going on another one of your secret missions.
Though small, Vern had inherited the legendary wisdom of the dragons. Guilty as charged, but the fewer people who know about it, the better. Can you keep this from the others?
Come on, Siegfried. We all know you only act for truth and honor and justice and all that. If you're gonna disappear, you should at least tell your captain. My butt'll understand.
I could find no objection. It seemed that all the adventures Vern had been on, all the grand and wondrous things he'd seen, had sharpened his insight. Yes, of course. You're right. I followed Vern to the captain's cabin. I've come to ask for permission to leave on a private mission. But I must warn you, if things go wrong, it could spell trouble for the crew. My throat was tight, light nerves, I supposed, and a touch of guilt. the captain did no more than smile and wish me a safe journey.
What'd you expect? We trust you.
Fortune truly had graced me with the best of companions. I strode through the gates of Seed Hollow.
So, what you gonna do here?
With a dragon on my tail. I would like to ask you the same question. Why did you follow me?
Curiosity. What's a cool knight like you always doing when he leaves the Grand Cipher?
Curiosity killed the lizard. But no matter. Vern and the captain had offered me their complete trust, so I could do the same in return. Besides, if anything were to happen, I'd be there to protect him. You're welcome to stay, but I am only visiting Seed Hollow's forces again to offer help if I may. Nothing of interest.
Sounds like something my bud would do. But I thought you were gonna leave them alone, to help them save face or whatever.
I was, but I realized that, in the end, the safety of the people is too heavy a price to pay for pride.
That's fair. No offense though, Siegfried. Your way with words is a little, special. So I'll just come along and do the talking.
20 minutes later, Vern and I were in the heart of Seed Hollow, watching its soldiers scurry about like mice. 500 years of peace has truly taken its toll. Seed Hollow's forces had become only an army in name. In truth, the military affairs of the country were run by Zothba, a civilian and information broker. Everyone took orders from him.
Dispatch from Zothba. We got a lost child on our hands. Everyone, split up and search for the mother.
Yes, sir!
Man, you ever just get lost and have a whole army look for your mom?
Vern hovered by the branches of a tall oak, surveying the commotion with shining eyes. It is important to serve your people in times of concord as in times of strife, but I fear they have lost sight of their true duty. There is a saying, it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Peace should never so lull a nation that its defenses are abandoned and its soldiers turned into clerks and errand boys.
Captain, new orders just came in. We're being sent to clear a horde of goblins camped right outside the city.
Now these errand boys faced hordes of monsters who had been roused by Avia's machinations. 500 years of stillness, nature, and peace gone. All at the whim of a madwoman.
You hear that, troops? Prepare for battle! Drive those goblins away from our homes!
Yes, sir!
They sure got bark. Problem is, they ain't got bite.
Are you worried about them?
Aren't you? You saw them get their butts kicked into the next item just a few days ago.
I did, but failure is the mother of success. I readjusted my gauntlet and shifted my sword on my back. This is a chance for them to grow. I'll make sure of it.
The training of the Defense Corps proceeded smoothly.
Guess you know what you're doing. All right, Rubalox. You can run this outfit a little longer.
Though they barked and whined, former Captain Douglas and his soldiers endured my training. The time had come for Folka to see them reborn. I proposed a patrol, the foremost duty of a guard, for evil, infirm of purpose, dares not stir beneath a watchful eye.
That's a bad idea.
I looked sharply at Douglas, who paced back and forth. Why do you waver?
Why do you think? We've been losers our whole lives. We can't go out there now and dance around the place like we own it. They're gonna laugh at us.
As a soldier, you must not weigh pride against duty. Now, this is a direct order from your captain. Move out. All came to pass as Douglas feared. In the streets of the city, children pointed, men jeered, and women laughed. Behind me, I could feel the will of my band weakening. Do not falter. Remember, shame should not hinder, but rather drive you to do good. The eye sees only the present, and the past is soon forgotten. There was no more I could do for them. The Corps would have to reclaim their own honor. I led them on without another backward glance.
Hey, look! It's the March of the Freeloaders! Must be nice getting paid to take a little stroll!
These barbed words were slung at us before the tavern. The speaker was a red-faced man, no doubt set on by excessive wine. I slowed my pace. It was true that the Corps had brought this scorn upon their heads, yet what remedy could poisoned tongues offer? I never intended for them to be thus reviled. Turning, I walked up to the drunkard.
You got a problem, big guy?
The man shook in fear. But I did no more than bow to him. Forgive us. It is the part of a leader to bear the faults of his followers. For who will answer to a lord that will not answer for them? I am now the captain of the Corps, and speak on their behalf. We have failed you in the past. For that, we are sorry. But these soldiers are now changed. Give us time, and I swear on my honor we will set things right. Amazement flashed into the man's eyes, clearing the fog of drunkenness. Shamefaced, he hurried away.
I, wanted to apologize, Captain Percival.
Douglas's voice sounded behind me.
It's our fault you had to grovel to a juicehead like that.
Enough. I held up a hand. Power is ever conjoined with responsibility. I did no more than duty commanded. Now come. The day wears on. It is time for training. At the guardhouse, the men fell to their drills with vigor.
Put your back into your swings! Stand firm! You are the first defense of your people. Bear yourselves with pride! Yes, sir!
Their voices were clear, and their movements strong. Soon, I thought, they would be a match even for the forces of Avia.
My dream is to become a hero. I know, kind of stupid, right? I get that you can't just snap your fingers and poof, you're in a cape with your first initial plastered over your chest. But let's face it, the world we live in could really use some heroes. Feels like every day I come across some new, sad story. Where's the harm in wishing for more sunshine? Anyways, I know heroes really do exist. I was saved by one. Well, saved might be an exaggeration, but I was a timid little squirt, and he was always there for me. He was just so darn cool. I wanted to be brave like him. I wanted to protect people like him. Eventually, my hero left our hometown to become a knight. If I was going to follow in his footsteps, then that meant I needed to take up the old helm and armor too. Wasn't sure if a weak crybaby like me would ever amount to much. But hey, whoever changed the future by getting hung up on the past? You probably already figured this out, but this hero I've been talking about? None other than my childhood friend, Lancey. And let me tell you, he's like something out of a fairy tale. Brave, smart, strong. Back in the day, all the grown-ups would call him a prodigy. If it wasn't for him, I might have never become the shining knight of Fiendrock that I am today. But man, do I still have a long way to go. I won't stop until I'm the best me I can possibly be. Here's a story from way before I became vice captain of the White Dragons. One day, I was waiting for Lancey at a harbor in Fiendrock. When hours passed and he still didn't show, I started to get nervous. The sound of the surf, which had been super calming until then, turned dark and whispery. Weird, but okay. Snooping around, I found out the true dragon Fafnir had returned. The royal powers that be were putting together a force to beat him. And of course, the person leading it was the captain of the White Dragons, Lancey. My best friend was about to march into the jaws of a literal fire-breathing lizard, and he was gonna do it without me. I couldn't let that happen. In a panic, I started back for the capital. So there I was, rushing along, worried half out of my mind, when I met the Grand Cypher's captain for the first time. Apparently, the crew was also headed for the capital of Fiendrock, so I told him to stick with me. More the merrier, right? Except, I wasn't exactly merry. And the captain could see that. Unable to stand it any longer, I spilled my heart out. I talked about the divide between me and Lancey. About how all I ever wanted was to be there for him, on and off the battlefield. For every baby step forward I took, Lancey soared. I was weaker than him, ranked lower than him. I wasn't enough. And this whole Fafnir business had just driven everything home. Everyone had immediately gone to Lancey, asking him to lead the way, save the day. On the other hand, I didn't get so much as a backwards glance, so I was just some random foot soldier. What? I didn't get to whine when my best friend was out there risking his life. I needed to stop feeling sorry for myself and put in the work so I could start feeling proud instead. Lancey's a born fighter and a genius. He's also human. The pressure on him is crushing. I had to get strong enough to support him. Hearing this, the captain asked if I wanted to join the crew. Of course, I would never quit the White Dragons, but maybe a temporary change in direction was what I needed. I'd run myself into a rut. New scenery, fresh perspective, all part of a healthy breakfast for a growing boy like me. So I took the offer, determined to go back to the White Dragons bigger and better than ever. But I digress. Back to the Fafnir problem. All you really need to know is, it spiraled way out of control. The fate of the kingdom hangs in the balance kind of stuff. Thanks to Lancey and the captain, Fiendrock managed to find its way back to normalcy. Me? I've been changed forever. Though we'd been fighting a dragon, I ended up learning a lot about people. Their strengths, weaknesses, what scared us, made us tick. Had some people pass out of my life and others come into it. My eyes were open to a lot of things, and not all of it pretty. But I'll take it, because it's the sum of our experiences, the good and the bad, that make us who we are. Fast forward in time, and bam! your boy Vane's vice captain of the White Dragons. Took big dreaming, a lot of hard work, and a hefty helping of best friend anxiety, but I got there. Now, don't get me wrong, rank, titles, all that stuff's just words, you know? What kid doesn't like getting a gold star? And this was a big, shiny gold star that said, "Congratulations, you're on your way to becoming a hero." Plus, now I got to be part of all the important security meetings. If Lancey needed help, I'd be the first to know. For once, I was feeling pretty confident in myself. Vice captains have it tough, but I was more than happy to do the work. It wasn't all smooth sailing, though. After a few months, some nasty rumors began circulating through the barracks. People were saying I got my job through nepotism, just because I was friends with Lancey. It was kind of a dark time. I've been trying to come up with things that I accomplished when I realized there were none. At least, nothing that I'd accomplished on my own. This whole time, I'd just been riding on other people's coattails. The captain, as always, lent me a shoulder to cry on, and we agreed to meet up again in a few days. But when the time came, two, burlier figures were standing beside the captain, Siegfried and Percival. They were there to spar with me and judge, once and for all, if I deserved to be vice captain of the White Dragons. I definitely teared up a little. These were two of the people I looked up to most in the world. They could take whatever I threw at them. My hopes, my insecurities, the lessons I learned. I put everything I had into that battle. And in return, Siegfried and Percival gave me everything they had. Fighting the two of them was as intense as you'd expect. But once I got over my throbbing calves and aching deltoids, I felt really lucky. I had good people looking out for me. They showed me how far I'd come, and I could go the distance. I went back to the castle determined to hide everything from Lancey. He had enough on his plate. But you know how best friends are. Trying to keep secrets from them is like trying to hide an onion in a muffin. He cornered me. So, with nowhere left to run, I spilled the beans. Told him how the rumors had drained my confidence, and I didn't feel good enough to be his vice captain. Or his best bud. I felt horrible. I had the greatest friends in the skies telling me they believed in me. And still, I couldn't believe in myself. Lancey waited for me to get everything off my chest before speaking.
Vane, I recommended you for vice captain because I considered you the most qualified. The motion passed because the king and the White Dragons felt the same way.
And just like that, a weight was lifted. Seems like all I really needed was to know my best friend trusted me. And now that we re-established this trust, there was only one thing left to do. Beat each other silly. We snuck out to the training grounds in the middle of the night and sparred until our legs gave out. Then, we lay spread eagle on the ground, looking up at the stars. Those little twinkling dots were so inspiring. They're out there, a gabillion miles away. But still, their light manages to reach us. My dream of becoming a hero might be far off. But if the stars can make the trip, so can I. So this next adventure began on a day in Zega Grande like any other. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and I was soaking up some rays after a pleasant morning of grocery shopping. That's when I heard it.
Long live the Blue Sky Knights!
Yes, the fierce cry of a child in its natural habitat. Enough to strike fear into the heart of any warrior.
I've never seen you around here. Intruder alert! Intruder alert! Knights, assemble! Cannonball formation!
They came hurtling at me, faster than the wind. I stood no chance.
We're the Blue Sky Knights, servers of justice and roasters of villains. Who goes there?
But all jokes aside, these tykes were adorable. Reminded me of my own days playing Knights and Dragons. With both hands in the air, I thought long and hard about how to respond. I for sure didn't want to pull out my usual, "I'm Vane, Vice Captain of the White Dragons." I mean, capturing a real knight while playing make-believe could be an awkward sitch for the kids. But it also wouldn't be right to lie. Then, a candle lit up over my head. I'm Vane, the wayfaring chef.
Wait, you're a chef? That means you're an expert at brewing stews and baking pastries, correct?
I blinked. Hadn't expected such an energetic response. What? Oh yeah, and I've got the proof right here. I pulled out a bag of cookies, which may or may not have been meant for Vern and Lyria, but they'd understand, right? I'll bake them some more. Anyways, passed out the cookies, and in the space of a few bites, the tots were leaping around like it was their birthday. And yes, before you say anything, I do realize that bribing the future defenders of our sky with munchies might not have been the best for character building. But you should have seen their smiles.
I come from a long lineage of proud warriors. We had a great number of visitors at our dojo, many of them masters of their respective disciplines. At some point, I picked up a blade of my own and began to mimic their movements. Back then, I enjoyed the training for what it was, valuing the journey over the destination. That is, until I met him, the Supreme Swordsmaster of the Eternals, Eata, once known as the demon Zamba. With a single glance, he identified all of my weaknesses. Then, with a few words, he taught me to overcome them. His strength was beyond captivating. I even eavesdropped on a conversation between him and my father, and discovered we were distant relatives. I was elated. For some time, he continued to train at our family dojo. I took every opportunity I could to learn from him, following him wherever he went. I ate whenever he ate. I committed all his mannerisms to memory. However, with the exception of our first encounter, he never acknowledged me. After all, he yearned for nothing more than strength. Why pay heed to a weakling, such as myself? So I vowed to become stronger. I would soar so high, he'd have to see me. I dedicated myself to training, begrudging even a single moment of respite. The blade was everything to me. And eventually, there was no disciple at the dojo who could come close to rivaling my skill. That was around when he vanished. In the blink of an eye, he was out of my life. He spoke not another word to me, nor called me by name. I was meditating in the forest one day when a group of travelers approached me. I didn't know them, but they were the captain and the crew of the Grand Cipher, and my future. Initially, I thought they were lost and had come to ask for directions. I was only half correct. They were seeking guidance, but not out of the woods. They wanted to learn martial arts from me. I shook my head. I was no master, only a chrysalis struggling to break free of my own shell. I believed the captain was mocking me, but that wasn't the case. I looked into the captain's eyes and found truth, alongside a burning desire for strength. It felt as if I was in his presence again. I found myself drawn to the captain. That's why I decided to join the crew of the Grand Cipher on their journey across the skies. I was convinced that this was the only path that could reunite me with Zomba. One day, I encountered an adorable Harvan girl at a local market. I'd already finished my shopping, so I decided to accompany her to a nearby cafe for tea and conversation. Upon parting, I asked for her name. She proudly introduced herself as Fief, one of the 10 Eternals. I had heard that Zomba once cared for a child of the same name. A jealousy brewed within me that I hadn't felt before. Zomba had taken notice of her, yet he never once acknowledged me during our time together. My inner peace had been shattered. I retreated to the mountains and started my training anew. But the more I tried to find direction, the more I realized how lost I truly was. It was Lyria and the captain who brought me back. They appreciated me for who I was. Nothing more, nothing less. Perhaps I too could learn to love the living, breathing me, and not a ghost of the future. That thought filled me with so much contentment. I was ready to give up on chasing Zomba. But the universe works in strange ways. As soon as I was about to let go, Fief helped bring me and Zomba together again. It was then I finally put into words how I felt. I spoke about how I wanted him to acknowledge me, to call my name. He listened quietly, and for what I felt was the first time, truly saw me. But I had yet to see and love myself. As part of my quest for self-discovery, I crossed blades with Zomba. No, Eata. We fought for days. He no longer believed I was a weakling. After our battle, we visited the tea shop, and it was there that he first addressed me by name. Never had tea and cake tasted so sweet to me. Now, with nothing holding me back, I am free to soar toward ever greater heights with my beloved companions on the Grand Cipher. I had failed that day at the Hail Wind Altar. I had spent years training and sharpening my skills, devoted my entire life to the pursuit of strength. But in that moment, it all amounted to nothing. Our experiences in Zego Grande had planted a seed of doubt in my mind. Over time, it grew, dense and wild as a jungle, choking me with a sense of helplessness like I'd never felt before. I wasn't able to protect Lyria or the captain. I had found my identity as a big sister, as a guardian, but now that I'd failed, who was I? I thought about resuming my training, but I couldn't afford to isolate myself like that. What if something were to happen while I was away? Then, the solution came to me. Whenever the captain was about to take on a dangerous mission, I would complete it first. That way, I could train myself and protect the crew in one fell swoop. I was too blind to see that despair had clipped my wings and chained me once again to the past.